Father Gregorios, a spiritual father and confessor, Greek. The spiritual father, Father Gregorios, lived in the cell of the kingly saints Constantine and Helen, near the Pantocrator monastery. He was a Greek by origin, hailing from the land of Cappadocia, and a great ascetic, as he consumed food only twice a week and during fasts only once a week. From his youth, he renounced the world, his parents, and his possessions, and at the age of 18, he came to Mount Athos, where he spent 40 years in obedience to his elder, imitating him in everything. His elder tonsured him into monasticism and blessed him to accept the priesthood and the role of a spiritual father. After 40 years, in 1840, his elder departed to the Lord, leaving him as the heir of both spiritual and material wealth and entrusting him with two disciples. Gregorios, having buried his elder, later called his disciples and said to them, "My children, I cannot be your elder and guide. Although I have been in obedience for 40 years and have studied monasticism, I still need to learn much and cannot rely on my own will. I will go to Rusik, to the Cenobitic life, to learn perfect monasticism, humility, and patience. As for you, if you wish, you are free to remain in this cell or go to any monastery you wish." The disciples were grieved to hear such words from their elder, and they earnestly pleaded with him to stay. Likewise, the entire brotherhood of the Pantocrator monastery and other nearby fathers entreated him as well. However, he replied to them, "Fathers and brethren, I cannot be your shepherd or spiritual father. I myself still have much to learn. I will go to test myself in a Cenobitic monastery and continue learning perfect monasticism. I have often heard from my elder that the desert merely lulls the passions, but Cenobitic life mortifies and uproots them. And I fear these passions even though I lived for 40 years in the desert with my elder. But now my elder has passed away, and I am afraid that the passions within me might awaken and destroy me. That is why I cannot stay with you." And so he moved to the Rusik, almost at the same time as we, according to the notes of Monk Parthenius, in the year 1840. The Lord granted me the blessing to live with him. We went together to fulfill our obediences. Although he was a spiritual father, he was the first to undertake any obedience, humbling himself before all and submitting to everyone. He had such a purity of the heart and the gift of discernment that he could perceive hidden thoughts. I, the sinner, experienced this at first hand. One day we were gathering olives, the whole brotherhood, and he was gathering with us too, when certain troubling thoughts began to overwhelm me. He approached me, struck me gently on the shoulder, and said in Greek, "Father, why are you accepting such thoughts? They are from the devil. Cast them away from yourself." Hearing this, I was frightened, bowed to him to the ground, and asked for his holy prayers. Then my heart was so moved that I could not hold back my tears. I thanked the Lord God Jesus Christ and the Most Holy Theotokos for granting me the blessing to live and fulfill obediences in the same monastery with such elders. At the same time in Rusik, there lived Elder Martinian, a Greek, a monk of perfect obedience and self-will renunciation, who became as harmless as a child. He had such love for everyone that he laid down his soul for all and took upon himself the weaknesses of others. He had from God the grace and purity of heart that allowed him to see the inner, hidden thoughts. He did not know the Russian language, yet he often admonished us Russians and gave spiritual beneficial instructions. Sometimes he spoke in Russian in such a way that even a Russian speaker would not, and afterward he again could not understand Russian at all, which greatly surprised us. But it was difficult for Father Gregorios in the cenobitic life, especially because of the fasts, as the abbot always blessed him to go to the refectory so that he could carry out his obedience and guide the brethren. Soon he was made the spiritual father of the entire brotherhood. He lived there for 2 years. The brethren of the Pantocrator monastery would always visit him, and they begged him with tears to return to them, as they could not find another spiritual father according to their conscience. They also asked the elders of the Rusik monastery to advise him to return to them, as well as the abbot. And at the end, he returned to his cell, which filled the Pantocrator monastery and the entire Korean brotherhood with great joy. To be continued with a part about spiritual father, Father Gregorios, Bulgarian, who died, who passed away at 1839. See you in the next video.